After a wild couple of days, the Jacksonville Jaguars get their man in Liam Coen. We'll talk about the roller coaster ride and what it means moving forward here on Locked On Jaguars.
You are Locked On Jaguars, your daily Jacksonville Jaguars podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
That's right. It is your team every day here on Locked On Jaguars. We thank you for making us your first listen and reminding you that we are free to subscribe to wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure you tap into that location, whether you watch them or listen to them. Locked On Jaguars will be there every single time. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Download Gametime today. What time is it? It's game time. And it is game time right now and right here for Jacksonville Jaguar fans because they got their guy. I'm going to tell you how the show's going to go today. What to watch for in the future moving forward. That's something that we'll go over. What a roller coaster ride. You know, a lot of people got sick on that ride, and most of them reside near or in Hillsborough County. We'll talk about them and all of this belly aching they're doing publicly that I don't want y'all to get too invested in that because that's not our problem. But still, I do aim to make people smarter, and I'll show you why all of this uproar is just nothing. It's much ado about nothing. Finally, at the top of the show, Liam Coen to be the new Jaguars coach. Let's start right there. Throughout this process, people have asked me, who's your preference? I said I didn't have one. I just wanted to make sure whoever they got, they realized. I thought that the biggest thing was to have an organizational structure that resembles one that winners have, that's in lockstep. Guys that are in lockstep have one voice, and that they don't that there any appearance of cover your, you know what, any appearance or all of that stuff is not conducive to winning. Okay, so that's why I decided to kind of wait and see and hear whoever they got and whoever they chose. I wanted to hear them and listen to their philosophy. I'm gonna go ahead and listen to 10 different people, okay, talking about how they view football. So I did that yesterday when it appeared that Liam Coen was going to double back here in Jacksonville. Another show that I host, Locked On NFL, I said before Washington played Tampa that it's possible that Todd Bowles, a man that everyone who I've ever talked to said he's probably the most impressive person that they've ever met. I said Todd Bowles had to win to save his job, possibly, because Tampa has a history. And I want you to remember this for segment 2. They have a history of firing coaches that seemingly don't deserve to be fired because they think it's better or to go in another direction. They did it to Tony Dungy when they hired John Gruden. They did it to Lovie Smith when they kept their offensive coordinator. It was a very similar situation to this one. They kept their offensive coordinator, Dirk Cutter, because Jameis was a rookie, played pretty good, and they wanted to make sure that they didn't lose their coordinator. So Dirk Cutter became the head coach. It didn't work. So Tampa had a history of doing this stuff, and I thought there was a chance that they would do it again, and I was afraid about that. Then what happened was when Ben Johnson turned down, he didn't necessarily turn down the job. He chose the Bears job for whatever reason, and we can speculate that Trent Baalke's presence had or did or didn't have anything to do with that. And then Liam Coen was number 2, and then he kind of took himself out of it. I thought they basically were going to make him coach in waiting in Tampa, and he was going to be comfortable with it. Apparently, that's not necessarily the case. They were going to make him the highest paid offensive coordinator in NFL history. That still doesn't mean that he couldn't take another job, because they have these rules in the NFL that as long as something isn't a lateral move, a guy can break his contract. So now that you know that little bit of information, doesn't it make all that belly aching look stupid? It does. But in the meantime, what the Jaguars have in Liam Coen, from the stuff that I've done outside of the play calling, I've become extremely impressed with that. Extremely impressed with that. And I'll tell you why. He talks about offensive line play. He talks about trench play. He talks about toughness. He talks about it starts up front. Not one time did I hear him say it starts with the quarterback. We know it does, but if you have a great quarterback and you don't do all of those other things, the things that I referred to in 2021 as insulating him, we all know what insulation is. Insulation means it keeps you warm. It keeps things from getting to you, right? That's what you do. You insulate yourself when you put on a big coat. You also insulate yourself when you put pads on. It's a layer of protection that keeps the main thing the main thing. The main thing is the quarterback. However, with all of these other things that have to happen, that quarterback isn't going to be successful until you do it. And I heard just a 2-minute snippet of him. And I don't know if y'all saw 5 Heartbeats when Eddie Kane started singing to this girl in the front row and she melted in her seat and she passed out. I ain't going to tell you I ain't no girl, but I wasn't going to pass out, but I almost kind of, my toes curled up a little bit because it is exactly what I've been saying for years. And that is everything starts up front. Everything starts in the trenches. Everything starts with being able to run the football. And then you throw the ball down the field. This is exactly what this man talks about. This is exactly what is in his pedigree. And if you want to see what it looks like, you can watch Tampa. But you can go back to his days at Kentucky in college. Now, Gator fans, don't get mad at me. I know I'm a Seminole supporter, but listen, I'm not saying this to anger you. I'm saying if you're a Gator fan who happens to be a Jaguar fan, you'll remember this. Remember the Ray Davis game at Kentucky? Yeah, that was Liam. You remember when Ray Davis kept running and they kept running and every time he ran, it was like he got 8-9 yards? That's what he does. That's him. And this is what I am so happy about, because what that does is open up the passing game. It sucks those linebackers in, and it allows wide receivers to really, really thrive and get open, especially a great wide receiver that the Jaguars just happen to have in Brian Thomas Jr. He is a play caller who understands the big picture. And when he talks, the big picture comes out first. He actually said players over plays, and I wanted to cry. Players over plays, which points back to personnel, which points back to the GM, which points back to, you understand what I'm saying now? This is all, that's what I mean about lockstep. And that's why, not that Trent was terrible, although if you listen to this show, you probably think I sounded like Trent was awful a lot. It's just that I always talk about what do you lead with. Now, I know it's just words, but what Liam Coen seems to lead with are things that I believe are conducive to winning in the National Football League. Now, make no mistake about it, they have some work to do, but they have some pieces. They have some parts. We'll talk about his staff. We'll talk about all that in segment 3 and what he's going to do. I don't know what he's going to do. People saying, what's your wish list? Just like I said, I didn't have a wish list for the coach. I had a wish list. See, this goes back to his players over plays. It wasn't about who. It was about the what. My wish list was the what. It wasn't the who. Whoever was going to do this, that's who I wanted. And it sounds like he's a dude that can do that. And the leader of men part of it and the play calling part of it it's all there now. It sounds like it's all there. So the people who were just talking about play calling, they should be happy. And me, I was always talking about the leader of men who just because he was a leader of men didn't mean he couldn't call plays, or just because he was a play caller doesn't mean. But the one thing you have to have is he has to be a leader who understands the big picture. And it sounds like that's what it is. We don't come to games to watch the GM. We don't come to the game to watch the mannerisms of the coach on the sideline and how he looks with the thing over his face. We come to watch players. And because we come to watch players, I love the fact that we have a coach that is a team that is coach-centric, with a coach that says it ain't about me, it's about them. And that, to me, is the biggest thing that I am so, so happy about. Other than the fact that I'm happy that Jaguar fans are happy. I'm not happy that some other fan base is upset it's not like we're happy at the expense of Tampa. No, we're just happy. But if they want to make it about them, then fine. Go cry. I don't care. You can cry all day if you want to in the same pamper and get chafed. I don't care. It's your problem. I'm sorry, but guess what? Your business ain't our problem. And then they're crying over something that don't make a whole bunch of sense. We'll talk about that here in segment 2. On a happy Liam Coen day, I'm going to wonder how many babies over the next 12 months going to be named Liam. That's something else, isn't it? Happy Liam Coen day here on Locked on Jaguars. We'll get back to it in just a second. Today's show is brought to you and sponsored by PrizePicks. Man, it's playoff time. And if you're like me, you want to make the most of these final weeks of football action. That's where PrizePicks comes in. If you love football and want a chance to win real money watching the games, PrizePicks is the place for you. It's the best way to turn your sports opinions into cash with daily fantasy player projections. All you got to do is pick more or less on player stats and projections, and that's how you win your money. You can win up to 1,000 times your money. You do this thing right, and you can make your picks in less than 60 seconds. And whether you're looking for a flex play to boost your payout or you want to cash out quickly, well, PrizePicks has you covered. I've been playing for a while now, and I've been winning too. And you know what? They got 10 million members, and they're giving billions of dollars in winnings out all the time. So make sure you tap in. And this week's promos like Taco Tuesday discounts add even more value to my lineups. This week even has a free pick for the NFC Championship. Jaden Daniels only needs one passing yard for you to win one square. It's easy, man. Ain't nothing to it. Here's a special offer for Locked On NFL listeners. Download the app today and use the code Locked On NFL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's PrizePicks. Run your game. All right, we're rolling along here on Locked On NFL, where it is your team every day. We thank you for making us your first listen here on Locked On NFL on a day that capped off. And I say the day because it was after midnight. My wife elbowed me while I was sleeping and said, okay, it happened. You said you had to go record. And I said, well, they're going to wait until the morning because they ain't going to get the wig they want if I go in there right now. So it capped off a wild roller coaster, man. We went around and around the mulberry bush here with Shah Khan. In a matter of days, Shah Khan was, by him keeping Trent Baalke, I think the vitriol towards the Jaguars owner was at an all-time high at a certain point, right? And I said this yesterday. It wasn't necessarily because fans don't like him. It's because people actually were like, come on, man, we're trying to help you, help us. You got to change. You got to get rid of Trent. Now, there are conflicting reports out there whether or not Trent Baalke, his departure was the reason why this all worked out, or maybe it was more money. On some people say, I heard somebody say Trent is the one that called Liam and said, give Jags another try, whatever. I don't know any of that stuff, and it'll all come out. But I do tell you this: I know he was one of the reasons why Ben Johnson didn't come here. I've been hearing that a long time, and I can't share it with you because I have a new phone, but I have an old text message that I got back in October that someone, and what I'm telling you, sourced. Someone hit me up and said all that talk about Ben Johnson, but Liam Coen might be the best one for Jacksonville. And if you know who said it, you'd be like, damn, he told you that? Yeah. If I had it, I would share the text with you, in the date, but I still wouldn't tell you who told me this. And I started looking into it, and I was like, wow, it makes sense. And then it was confirmed to me by somebody else that that guy's a hot dude. You know what I'm saying? So that in football circles, people were just as enamored with him as a play caller and as a leader as they were with Ben. So for that, I just wanted to tell y'all, just to put that on your heart, man, that's something that you guys can also feel good about. But here's the part of this. Let's get into Tampa real quick, because they're trying to say this tells you what kind of character this guy has. Okay, I want to know what kind of character that is. The character that means that I got a choice to be an offensive coordinator for the next 3 years and make X amount of dollars, or I got a choice to be a head coach right now in a good situation, making 3 or 4 times the amount of money. I mean, you do this to get to the pinnacle, right? And you might not like how it looked, but let me tell you what people are doing. They're talking about sick child and all of this stuff, and everyone knows that Liam Coen has dealt with that before. All right, so just because he was doing this doesn't mean that part of this wasn't that he was dealing with that. But you ever been in a situation where you got to make a tough decision and somebody tells you, now we'll do this for you, but if we do this, this is contingent on you not listening to them if they call you back. Well, first of all, you ain't going to tell me who to listen to. Second of all, you really ain't gonna tell me who to listen to before I sign that contract. Third, even if I signed the contract, if they call back, legally I can listen to them and talk to them anyway, and I can go take that job. Fourth, don't you want me to be a head coach? What does this say to the other assistants? 5, maybe I didn't answer the phone because I was really in a space where I prayed about it and I was talking to my family, and I didn't want the influence of hearing your voice because I really do like you and I respect you, and I didn't want you to sit there trying to convince me not to do something when I didn't even know if I was going to do it yet. We don't give people a chance to make decisions. We think everything has to have Big Brother, where it's played out in public in front of everybody's face, where it's played out online, whether it's, I make a lot of decisions that people don't know about. And sometimes you need time to vet those decisions. And how am I going to vet it when you're threatening to pull the contract that you're offering, but you're only offering if I don't go talk to these people again? It just doesn't make sense to me that anybody would find him wrong for doing that. I'll tell you who finds him wrong for doing it. People that believe you owe folks something. I remember I had a dude that worked in radio that told me that A.J. Bouye was selfish for taking all of that money the Jaguars gave him and being disloyal to Houston, the team that gave him a chance when nobody else would. People, I have no idea where folks get this sense of entitlement that they own somebody and that they own people's consciousness and they own folks' right to vet and think about the things that they want to do. Who the hell y'all think y'all are? And then to come on social media and start projecting that BS all over for everybody else to read it. Get over it, man. The worst thing I ever saw somebody do, and I wasn't even mad at him, is when the Cavs had Carlos Boozer as a second-round pick under contract, and they felt he outplayed that contract, and they wanted to give him some more money, but the rules prevented them from giving him a whole bunch of money until that rookie deal was over. He can't do it in the NBA. It's against the CBA. The only way you can do it is you got to cut him. And they told him, but then when they said, man, we got to cut you, but we can only give you like $30 million, man, but it's going to expose us because once you cut, anybody can come. It's either that or you keep making this $800,000-$900,000 a year that you're making for the next 3 years, man. We really want to pay you. We just can't because of the rules. But if we release you, we can pay you. But it's only this amount because we're doing it early and we're doing it like this. It's capped, but we still want to give it to you. Okay. Carlos Boozer took the deal. He said, okay, go. We're good. They released him. And I think it was Utah or somebody offered him like $90 million and he took it. To me, that was a hard one to swallow. But this, nah, ain't no promises. This is business. This is business when y'all got rid of those coaches y'all got rid of. This is business when y'all do the things that you do. And now the media sitting here talking about it's not what he did, it's how he did it. Man, I don't care how people do it. It's what people do. It's not how they do it. It's what they do. And what he did was the same thing that you or anybody else would have done. You listened to somebody, they convinced you, you took the job, you even called the coach. See, you notice they never said Todd Bowles tried to call him. They said it was people in the organization. Well, I know Bowles didn't call him because he called Bowles. A coach called another coach. And I guarantee you Todd Bowles understood. I don't understand why media people don't understand. I think they do understand. I just think the thing is they had all wrote these stories that he was coming back. They had all wrote this narrative that he turned down Jacksonville. And all of a sudden, Shad Khan does something. Shad Khan does something he normally doesn't do. Shad Khan, and I wouldn't listen to fans to help me run my team either. No, I wouldn't do that. But sometimes people are right. And if it's not fans, somebody probably went in there and told him he need to figure out a way to do something different. And he did it. Better late than never. Better late than never. The Jaguars got their coach. Stop whining. Stop crying. Stop being out here belly aching, looking like a 7-year-old petulant child. It's stupid. It's dumb. The dude was going to leave regardless. So if he doesn't come to Jacksonville, if he doesn't listen to a second offer from Jacksonville and New Orleans calls him out of the blue or Dallas calls him, y'all can't stop that either. Man, just don't listen to it, Jaguar fans. I had to do that one time just to tell people to shut up. Don't listen to it anymore. It ain't about no way nobody does anything. It's just that sometimes you don't want to see how the sausage is made. And unfortunately, in this world we live in, everybody's exposing how the sausage is made and everybody has an opinion about it. what are we going to do moving forward? Now that Liam Coen is in Jacksonville, and I jokingly joked that a whole bunch of people are going to name their baby Liam in the next year, and that might be true. Hell, if I could make me another kid, I might name him Liam. I can't make none, though. But here's the thing. We're going to talk about what to watch for in the future here with the Jaguars and the work that still has to be done. We can celebrate for a little while, but eventually we got to have the realization that there's some things that need to happen. We'll talk about those things here in just a second on Locked On Jaguars. All right, today's show is sponsored and brought to you in part by Gametime. I love going to live events. I really do, whether it's sports, music, theater, or comedy. One of my favorite memories was attending a concert last year, a little bit more than a year ago, with Maze featuring Frankie Beverly, one of my favorite artists of all time, right before he passed. And I'll always remember. And I always remember where I got the tickets, and I got them at Gametime. Now, Gametime has made it even easier to get tickets for your favorite events with the new feature, Gametime Picks. This feature filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats. So you don't have to waste time searching through thousands and thousands of tickets and all of that fluff, man. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDON NFL for $20 off. Download Gametime today. What time is it? It's game time. And today's show is brought to you and sponsored by LinkedIn Talent Solutions. Growing your small business in 2025 comes down to how well you can hire. And let's face it, better hires start with smarter insights. Ain't that right, Sean? That's where LinkedIn comes in. With the strongest hiring data available, LinkedIn helps you identify the right candidates, giving you the confidence to make the best decisions for your business. I use LinkedIn to open a barbershop, 10 chairs. I was so drained in doing stuff with contractors and staying in regulation. I was about to open and I ain't have no employees. LinkedIn helped me out with that. Hire smarter this year and find your next great hire on LinkedIn. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedonnfl. That's linkedin.com/lockedonnfl to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. All right, third and final segment here on Locked On Jaguars, where it's your team every day. Talking about Liam Coen, who will later on today will sign his deal and be made the new head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars. The city is happy. The city is super, super ecstatic about this hire. All I can tell you, man, is whether you can say it's a home run or whatever, I think right now it's a little bit incomplete. We got to see who the GM is going to be. The spy tech dude that everybody was talking about, he actually did sign his deal with the Raiders. But there are a lot of people out there that Liam has come in contact with over the years, throughout all of his years coaching. He's been an assistant coach for 15 years, a lot of that in college, but he's well regarded in the coaching community. So I'm really, really happy about that. The Jaguars have more work to do, taking that next step. First of all, I think this team is better than 4 wins. We can definitely talk about that. I do believe that they're a whole lot better than a 4-win team. I think there are a lot of factors that we don't need to look back to really, really get into the the ifs and ands and all of that stuff. But obviously, the GM and the DC, the defensive coordinator, and the GM, I would probably look for him to get a defensive coordinator that has a ton of experience. Offensive line coach is really, really important. That's an important position. The defensive line coach will obviously determine the defensive line, but usually what you look for in terms of a staff, especially now that you have an offensive coordinator or a head coach who is the play caller and a designer of the offense. Well, Doug was that too, but you know what I mean. The offensive coordinator position isn't. I'd say it's still important because I've been telling people for a long time that actually being an offensive coordinator is really, really more important than calling plays, because it's what you do all the time. It's teaching, designing the offense, recognizing the talent that you have, players over plays, right? So you got to understand who you have and design and build things around those people. And you have to be able to teach that and enforce it. So all of these things are super, super important. But it does open up the gate for an offensive coordinator to be an offensive line coach. It does open up the gate for your offensive line, your offensive coordinator to be someone like Keenan McCardell, who is a longtime NFL player, great coach, developer of talent. When I say that, people go, well, you never coordinated before. Yeah, neither did Mike McDaniel. There are a lot of people. Liam Coen himself was a wide receivers coach with the Rams before he was a quarterbacks coach and before he was the OC. So it opens the door for the really, really good, smart football people to really, really come in here and get in here without all of these predetermined designed roles. I would love to know the philosophy, like the GM. I'm going to go back and look at the pedigree of whoever they decide to take so we can start shaping and forming our opinions. A lot of people have already put Trey Smith here because we need a right guard. But, there's some things you have to guard against. A lot of things make sense. A guy can be worth the money, but there may be another way to do things. Because if it's about paying a whole bunch of people that's worth the money, you run out of money. There's this thing called the salary cap now. So you have to be able to spread things around a little bit in an appropriate way. But I think this opens the door up now for different types of free agents, different types of players to be considered with the draft. The one thing that Trent was who he was. And we would look at prospects and guys, other guys, me and like guys like Jordan DeLugo that follows it real close, and the other guys around, like some guys on my network that do a lot of scouting away from covering Locked On. They'd be like, Trent ain't going to take him because his arms are too long, or Trent ain't going to take this guy because of this, or Trent. See, so that stuff kind of goes out of the window. So now you've now opened this thing up to where there's no longer a type. At least you don't know what it is. Or if there is a type, the type isn't built on certain measurements. It's built on what it is in here. It's built on what it is in here. Because if it's players, well, you want to know who your leaders are. I'll give you an example. Detroit, somebody called Detroit 53 people on one bus, and there's a whole bunch of Conde Corsos. And when you look at Penei Sewell, and you look at the wide receiver, Amon-Ra is basically like a Navy SEAL who knows how to run routes. And then the running backs, they're rough and tumble and tough. And so there's this thing that these guys, they build these teams based on certain characteristics. The measurables are important. The speed is important, but it's not something that's going to totally eliminate a player. So now that's what I'm going to start looking for. And I really, 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 really am excited for this franchise. I'm really, really, really excited for Jaguar fans because we don't know if it's going to work. We don't know if it's going to work. But the fact that Shad tried something and did something different. You can't be comfortable with doing something if the thing that you're comfortable with has never worked before, right? And it never worked before. So now we saw our owner step out of a comfort zone, and that was billionaire-ish. Can I say that? This is very, very billionaire-ish of him. And, you can talk about how much money somebody's worth, but then you can also talk about if they act like they're worth. And yesterday, this man acted like he was Shad Khan, the billionaire. And that's what I'm talking about. So it gave fans new hope, and I'm happy. I'm happy that they feel like somebody chose them. And I'm happy that they feel like everybody around the world who's mad because they always think people aren't going to choose Jacksonville, they chose them. They now have a coach that they can identify with his little vest shirts and his sleep. See, it all stuff. They have someone, I believe, that they will attach themselves to, and it is all going forward, man. I don't like doing negative radio or negative podcasts. I don't like well, sometimes I do, but you know what I mean. I would rather have something positive to say about something good than have something negative to say about something bad. So salute Jacksonville. This is a new start. Love it to death for y'all, man. And now we have a new beginning, and we don't have to repair anything. We don't have to keep fixing anything. Nope, we're going to take it all. We're going to take it down to the nuts and bolts, build it and start it all over and go forward. And I think this is good for him and Trevor Lawrence. All right, man, you guys take care of each other. We'll have more whenever there's an official announcement. I will drag my bones down and make my way down to the stadium, and I'll be there to give you the coverage for Locked On Jaguars. Make sure you tap into Locked On NFL for any further stories. Twice a day, early in the morning, Tyler the Madman Rowland will bring you Locked On NFL. And then come lunchtime, I'll do the same thing a little bit after in the afternoon, about 2 o'clock with Locked On NFL here with me in the barbershop. We talk about things league-wide, and I'm sure the Jaguars will be one of those subjects for the next few days. You guys take care. Happy Liam Coen Day. Happy Shad Khan Day. Shad, I'm sorry, man. All that stuff I said, man, I take it back, man. You stood tall. You guys take care of each other. We'll see you next time here on Locked On Jaguars.